Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Proficiency Bonus. We have a special episode tonight planned for you. And tonight we are live with what we call Persuasion Check Live, where we are going to talk about Wizards of the Coast D&D 5th edition book, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to our crew for this evening, as we've got four wonderful people here. Well, three wonderful people and me.
Way to talk yourself up, Michael.
So I was trying to give myself some encouragement here, but I bettered that. I'd rather be the humble DM than the egomaniac DM, right? So tonight we've got directly below me on your screen, we've got JJ, who is a cast member in 2 of our campaigns here at Proficiency Bonus. He plays. JJ, share with everybody who you play in both of our campaigns.
All right, beautiful. So on Friday nights, which is Saturday morning for me because I'm obviously foreign to everyone else that's watching this probably. I play a charming little gnome paladin by the name of Moby, who is constantly annoying his family members. Who is played by the two to my left?
This way.
Left?
Yes.
Left. That's left for me. Okay, I don't know, I'm backwards. And during Matthew's campaign, which is on, what day is that? Monday nights, Tuesdays for me. It's all odd, time differences and such. Yeah. I play a lizard folk monk by the name of King Gizzard the Lizard Wizard. The name's got nothing to do with his class or anything. It's just a cool name.
Awesome. JJ is also a dungeon master. We've got some plans for him here in the near future, but we're gonna hold off on those plans for just now. We're gonna keep that a secret and a surprise for later.
It's on the lowdown.
It's on the lowdown, yeah. But to the right of me on your screen, we've got MG, who is also a cast member of our Storm King's Thunder Friday night campaign, and also a producer for our Tomb of Annihilation. He runs all the tech that makes our stream on Monday night work. So, MG, would you share with us your who you play in our Storm King's Thunder campaign?
Yeah. Storm King's Thunder on Fridays. I play Lachlan, the lovable, puckish trickster.
And Lachlan has several fans out there in Twitch and Twitter land. So Lachlan is a fan favorite, that's for sure. And then directly below MG, we've got Matthew, who is a dungeon master of our Monday night Tomb of Annihilation campaign. You can check that out on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's also a cast member in our Storm King's Thunder campaign that airs on Friday evenings. Matthew, do you want to share a little bit about Molfin to everybody?
Sure. Molfin is the 375-year-old great-grandfather of Lachlan above me and the great-grand-uncle of... Oh, I got to do directions now.
Yeah,
this way.
Yeah, there you go.
Moby.
There you go. Moby.
Been an interesting time. We've got the too tall crew with us, so that's actually amusing. We got the 3 gnomes in here and you.
yeah. We got the 3 gnomes together tonight. So
Well.
So we're just gonna have a really relaxed evening tonight. We're just gonna be just kind of talking a little bit about Xanathar's Guide. Just give you guys some insight on what is actually provided in the book, what we like about it, what we dislike about it, maybe some just some insight for you. Is it a book that you need to run out and go get tomorrow? We're going to be kind of discussing that tonight. There are 2 different covers that they released for the book. I've got the here's the copy. JJ's got the the standard cover. He's holding up there.
Yeah, I'm a standard guy. Don't mind the glare from my computer screen.
That's it. I've got
Your
the
browser tabs.
I've got the
It's very
special
glossy.
guide, which I absolutely love the artwork on. When it came out in my local gaming store, which is Cardboard Castle in Augusta, Georgia. Just give them a shout out, they gave me I got a good deal on the actual special cover of the book, and we also got the standard cover there, so you guys can see exactly what the book looks like. And we're going to start off tonight. First of all, I just want to thank a couple people. I want to thank Team MZ for their support of this channel and helping us to get our just supporting small streamers in general. If you're looking to do some streaming and you need a community of other streamers that are willing to support each other and share each other's content and just get your names out there, check out Team MZ. I also want to give a quick shout out to Many Sided Dice, who provides us discount codes for their 5th edition magic item compendium called Lost Artifacts of Greygast. And I believe JJ might have his copy ready.
I do, but I'm actually using it as a stand for my camera. So if I move it, like, everything's going to drop.
Multiple
Yeah, I know,
uses. Yes! Love it. Yes! That's it. Not only is it a massive compendium, I mean, this thing is like that thick.
Yeah, it's like that thick. It's massive. There's like, what, 500, 600 pages in it?
Yeah,
all full of magic items.
All full of magic items.
It's crazy.
And the thing I love about it is the magic items not only just give it just a brief summary and a stat block, but it's like multiple pages for each. Just giving like a backstory of how the weapon was created, all the lore that goes with it. I mean, so it gives DMs especially a lot of tools to be able to input these magic items into your games. So it's really awesome. So you got to go ahead and check those out. I think
they're doing a giveaway.
What's that? They are doing. I think they're doing a giveaway on Twitter or something like that. So if you want to go check them out, that's Many Sided Dice. Make sure you check them out. Their logo is at the bottom of our screen. We also got Nightshade Creations, who has partnered with us. They create different things like dice trays and just custom wood products like dice towers and things like that. They sent us a dish of shame, which I have right here. If you ever had those naughty dice that you keep on accidentally picking up and you're saying, I need to put this somewhere, wretched dice. Then you've got a. I'm sorry.
It's really aggressive.
I'm sorry.
We're taking it easy.
I'm sorry, guys. I just sometimes. I'm glad that we use Roll20 and the digital dice are safe from me. I'd be throwing them, but it's great. It's beautifully carved. Has a D20 carved on the back. We're going to be giving this away at some point in the future. So go check out Nightshade Creations. Other than that, our first segment tonight is going to be called Critical Hit, and that was a perfect sound effect. Whatever that ding was, it was perfect timing. So
that person's a new producer.
There you go. Yeah. We need to get them on the stream immediately.
MG, all right.
That was actually one of the Team MZ members sharing out the tweet I put out saying we were just about to go live.
Awesome. See,
even if we're running live, Team MZ is still supporting us.
Yeah, that's and Team MZ, all the team members will share out your tweets and things like that to get your information out to their followers and things like that. So it's definitely worth your while to check them out. So Critical Hit, what this is we're going to each take a little bit of time to share with you all what we like about Xanathar's Guide to Everything. It can be anything from general to specific. Each person's going to get to share maybe 1 to 2 things, just because we only have about 5 minutes for each of us, and we'll have a little bit of time at the end of each of our segments to just kind of just talk back and forth and share. But what we're going to do is we are going to roll initiative to see who gets to share first. And I have initiative trackers set up on the side on those D20s. I'm going to have to change them up, but I've got my D20 here. I'm going to go ahead and roll it. We're not having any modifiers to this D20 roll because we are all what we consider average human beings. which would be a commoner in D&E terms. It's a +0 bonus. So you can go ahead and roll. Man. Gosh.
Got a
So
9.
I'm gonna go ahead and put mine in
What's
here
an 11?
first. I also rolled an 11.
Roll off. It's a roll off.
It's a roll.
Dun, dun,
What?
dun.
MG? What did you roll?
9.
You rolled a 9.
Yeah.
And I got a 13.
Oh, look at that. So we
Wow.
got MG with the 9. We've got Matthew rolling in high with the 13. I had you guys already preset it much higher. So we're
You
so
overestimate
all
us,
right.
Michael.
Okay, here we go. Roll off, JJ. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Oh boy.
Okay, that's a 10.
Okay, yeah, you go before me. I rolled a 4.
All right.
So, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and start with Matthew. Matthew, we got about 5 minutes. Critical hit. What do you like about the text, about Xanathar's Guide?
The big one for me is a general statement is just the entire second chapter, the Dungeon Master's tools. I think they did a lot of great things in that section, from things like specifically identifying a spell, which has never really been something, at least that I've seen in any of books out so far, that actually had that mechanic built into it. It was always, as a player, you just said what they're going to do. But now there's an actual rule and a mechanic behind it that, okay, well, does my character actually know what he's going to try to do? Am I going to try to counter that spell coming at it from Molfin's standpoint on Fridays? If I know what the spell is, it works to a benefit in that respect. Beyond the DM's tools, though, or beyond the spellcasting piece of the DM's tools, the additional things for building and messing around with traps, specifically coming from DMing on Monday nights with the Tomb of Annihilation and how trap-heavy parts of that campaign can be, as our Tomb Raider to my right can attest, as he almost wiped the entire team twice in the same section trying to get an item.
I have no shame.
It was worth it. It was a great moment for the group. It was a great moment that, if you haven't watched the episode, check it out. It's a riot to watch.
That's by far one of my favorite episodes.
Does they give you all sorts of little tips on just, okay, well, here's what you can do for a very simple trap, and here's something you can do that goes much more complex and in-depth with the capabilities behind it. So fascinating reading. It's going to have more, I guess I'll say more benefits for me for like side quests and stories to do with the characters' backstories than the main part of the story. But, homebrews and everything else, it'll be a wonderful tool for the DMs, in my opinion.
Excellent. I wanted to just chime in and say that was one of the coolest things. It was one of the I kind of read the book the first time, and the DM section was kind of like the first section I went to, and it's something that somebody always asks. Well, do I know what the spell is that someone is casting? And no matter where you look at in the Dungeon Master Guide or Player's Handbook, there's not really any text that really gives a DM a guide on how to adjudicate those rules during the session. And now they're there for you. And I was so excited about that.
Yeah.
Because Matthew, you're always the first one to kind of ask, do I know what this spell is, or what is this spell? And it's like, I have no idea, dude.
Especially just looking at it going forward, it's like one of the things I plan for Molfen is to take Counterspell. It's part of the whole control type of character I'm building with him. And that little piece was going to be, I don't want to say a contention point, but would definitely come up more than once.
Oh yeah.
I gotta add too, that whole trap section, that was absolutely fantastic, because I feel like that was really underrepresented in the the DM's guide and every other kind of supplement book that has come out. And for them to go in depth like that and to actually explain it in that amount of detail I just thought that was great, because Who doesn't love traps? Traps are fantastic. Honestly. They're great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
First hand knowledge.
Make so many jokes.
That's
Yeah, I
right.
know. I'm holding back as well. Don't worry.
The cool thing I noticed about the complex traps, I loved how they shared that there's one example of these multiple blade traps where it's like each section has something different that happens, and the character has to make it all the way through this trap by defeating it in different ways for each section. And that is an interesting encounter in itself. You know, everybody's always like struggling, you know, what do I need to do here? How can I add an encounter to my, you know, do I just throw a random encounter with random monsters? I mean, you could use one of these complex traps and have that be the encounter itself. I mean, and it's just not just one little, you know, crossbow just firing a bolt at you. It's this elaborate trap that just like goes on for
Yeah, like Home Alone style stuff. Like it's
yes. It's like the car at the top of the steps. You trip over that, and then it's like all the jacks on the steps that you roll down, and then there's the pins all sticking up at the bottom of the steps that you land on. I mean, it's just one thing after another that you could fall into.
the amount of scaffolding that's gone into that is fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Matthew, for sharing your critical hit. We're going to go head over to JJ, who's got a 10 on the initiative count. And he can go ahead and take your time to roll to share your critical hit with us or two.
Fancy. All right, so the first thing you see when you pick up Xanathar's Guide is the fabulous, like the artwork. Like the artwork, like you got to say, even with the limited edition book, the artwork was absolutely fantastic. Much like Bolly's Guide, like that kind of similar, you know, like kind of like a jovial like type style, like more or less realism than what they're used to. But even opening up the book and going through the character options and the art in the book, one big thing that I noticed is that the artwork is so similar and like alike throughout the whole book. There is no variation in artwork. For example, like let's give it a contrast to the Player's Handbook. We all know that infamous halfling. What is it? The halfling bard on the like that thing is.
Wait, what's this?
Oh yeah, yeah. The halfling bard. Yeah, open up to the halfling race page. MG.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah.
There's something. But there is no mishaps like that at all in this book. I'm not going to go through and show you every little picture, but the artwork is absolutely fantastic, and they have done an amazing job on that, like keeping it level, keeping it concise, and actually relevant. Because I find a lot of the artwork sometimes isn't exactly relevant to what you're reading, like at all. They just kind of put it in there to have a picture in here. But with this, the artwork's there for a reason, and it's all following a similar style. Look, how like nerve-wracking is that? Like it sends shivers down my body's spine.
You could fit her whole foot in her mouth.
All right, let's not get too personal.
Awesome.
Another thing that stuck out to me as well was, obviously I'm reading this book like as a player first off, because I was so excited for all these new character options to come out. And you know, I'm a big role player myself. I don't lean too heavily on the combat. I rather make a character that has like these interesting quirks and interesting like facets that like about it, and that make it real and a person.
Yeah. And
just the amount of like role playing kind of devices that have used for each different class in this book to help you flesh out your character and to help really flesh out the lore in the world is actually like a huge help for new players and even experienced players who are coming into this game and going to be like, all right, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? It's a massive help. And I think it's probably the best feature in this whole book. Just the role-playing aspects that they've included in this. That's, honestly my favorite thing in this book.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the one thing I think I remember. I remember messaging both you and Matthew when I first got the book, and I was like glancing through it. And I was like, man, there is so many good just ideas for RP in this book. Like, just role play in general.
Yep, and they come up like there's so much for every single class and like for every single different like facet of the class as well. It really helps you flesh out your character and like who you want to play. And even if you don't use like the guidelines there, it can inspire like different ideas that you can use. So it's a really helpful tool, I think, to have in that book or this book.
Yeah, it's great. And like you said, even if you don't use it, it can be something that inspires you a little bit. You look at something and go, "Oh, I couldn't see that," but it opens the door to something else.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities with this. That's why, yeah, I just love it.
For that one shot that we did last Friday, the heist on Hill House. When I was creating my character, I had never really had an inclining to just any inclination whatsoever to play a barbarian. Like it's just not been my role play style. It's just not been something I want to play. And then I read the Path of the Ancestral Guardians in this book. And it's not so much the mechanic, but it's the roleplay aspect of it that attracted me to it. Like, how cool is it that when your barbarian starts to rage, all of these ancestors of your clan or tribe just kind of almost like ghosts, like appear around you and are wielding weapons and are helping your friends, like, to distract them and defend them and things like that. I just thought that was an amazing aspect of it and gave me a lot of inspiration on how to, incorporate that into my game.
Yeah, the world building and the role play aspects in this book are absolutely they're outstanding. Yeah. They've like gone above and beyond with this.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get ready for MG to share his critical hit. But before we do that, before we jump over there, I want to first just give a huge shout out to a couple individuals. Just some of our followers, our recent followers, have been absolutely amazing. We've got Man Called Z. I want to thank you for following. We've got Sec9 Major. Thank you so much for following us on Twitch. HD Pup. Yes, HD Pup. Thank you so much for subscribing. We've got Gemstone59 who has jumped on to join the adventure, and I think it's GB1 Oak. So I think it's G Bloke. Thanks for following us, and also Ninja Quill. Thanks for the subscription. We appreciate you guys jumping on board and supporting the channel and for following us. So thank you guys so much. And now we're going to go to MG's critical hit. So MG, what did you like about the book?
I think, since you guys got to go before me, you guys used the one I think is the biggest critical hit, and it's all that character flavor, right?
Yeah.
It's, if you want to be a wizard, it lets you take a moment to think about what's your spellbook look like. Just these little things that really add a lot of like energy to each class. So that's really cool. I'd say on top of that, one of the things that really like jumped out at me as I was reading through it was I love that they have rules about carousing. Like it's such like it's almost like an old second edition kind of thing to have like a table of, how many drinks do you have at the bar kind of thing. Like back when I was like 14 playing this with my friends, like, right?
Awesome.
So I think that there's like almost there, and in general, I think there is a little bit of that like old school magic in this book of, like just all these tables and tables like you used to find in like the old Dungeon Master guides and like the old editions. I think there's something really cool about that I haven't seen quite as much in some of the newer editions and books.
MG, do you think that will like encourage people who may have been out of the game for a while or maybe grew up with Dungeons and Dragons and kind of set it off on the shelf? You think that would maybe appeal to them a little bit more?
I hope so. I mean, because 5th edition, not Xanathar's in particular, but 5th edition did that to me. Like I missed 3.5, I missed 4. It was, seeing people like role playing in this new sort of world where the focus has shifted away from min-maxing and back into, I don't know, some of like the magic of the game. That I know that really caught my eye.
Gotcha. And just the role playing aspect in this book is just, and you're talking about the tables. I mean, some of what I'm going to share has something to do with the tables as well. So that's awesome. Matthew or JJ, do you guys have anything to add to what MG had said there?
Look, I'm gonna let you know that some of what you just mentioned is going to be in the next segment, so I'll just wait. Long.
Like, I hate the carousing tables.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see JJ as a tables person,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but that's his cup of tea. Or I don't know if JJ, do you drink tea or do you just go straight liquor?
don't drink tea. No, it's always beer.
That's
It's
it.
always
That's
beer,
it. That's it.
Just- yeah. If you're not drinking beer, you're drinking whiskey or bourbon or something.
Nice.
Tea's for the English.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
We're all convicts, man. Like,
Suddenly, I agree.
Digitio on the chat said he looked up the halfling bard image and he was terrified.
It's scary. Like that thing looks freaky.
Yeah. They definitely rolled some nat ones in that artwork. So
I mean, credit to the artist, but it was just too out there.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
It's a little much. And actually, mention where Digitio is in the Twitch chat with us. I just want to make sure you were calling out people earlier to give a shout out to Digitio, who has been with us every single episode of Tomb of Annihilation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you very much for coming along for the,
thank you.
Yeah.
thank you for coming along for the trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Digitio and I have a lot of interesting dialogue going back and forth in the Twitch chat while we're watching on Monday nights. So, it's been fun. That party, they need to just find a guide.
If only, yeah. Only there
Like
was.
But not to get off on a tangent, I'll go ahead and share my critical hits. MG, I agree. I do like some of the rollable tables just because as a busy guy and a dungeon master, anything that can kind of help me shape my stories and bring new things into the game that I just can't come up with off the top of my head. I really love a good rollable table that I can just roll on. And even if I don't roll on it, even just looking at the table can inspire me and give me ideas as a dungeon master. I mean, those are one of the things I really like about those tables. One of the tables I flagged in my book was I love this how you go about awarding magic items, because every player out there loves whenever something drops something and they're like, ooh, look at this. Like, it's just like something about it. Even if your character isn't like a looter, you just love the aspect of, okay, what are the awards for my adventuring? What do I get? It's kind of like everybody is excited about these magic items, these items that just show up. And I like how they have this.
Actually, sorry to interject, just a perfect reason to buy the Lost Artifacts of Greygast, because they have hundreds and hundreds of magic items in there.
Absolutely.
Like, absolutely stacked.
Yeah, I have asked for my copy for Christmas, so I'm hoping that I have one under my nice little tree on December 25th. We'll see. But
You'll know it'll be the biggest thing there, so you'll definitely know.
Yeah. What is this massive thing? But I love how they have like the level of your character on this chart, and then they show you, okay, how many common magic items should this party find within these first 4 levels. So like it says they just minor magic items, they should 6 common, maybe 2 uncommon, maybe 1 rare falls out when they're the 3rd or 4th level. So I think that's a cool thing to have, especially with Storm King's Thunder. I've been finding out that Christopher Perkins and the guys who wrote Storm King's Thunder don't really like to give out a lot of treasure. They don't really like to give out a lot of magic items. So I've been trying to find ways that I can still add and implement magic items to the adventure to kind of help out a little bit, because there are some very difficult encounters in that adventure. Another thing that I love about this is, and this is just a smaller thing, but it goes back to just as a DM and trying to find rules to just go with certain things. They have a whole section in here about tools and tool proficiencies. Mm-hmm. And it's multiple pages. Like they actually go into detail about every tool or every package of tools that you can get, like thieves' tools. Like for so long, we're like, okay, thieves' tools, how do we implement them in the game correctly, for one? and how and what is involved in these thieves tools. It's like, oh yeah, you found some thieves tools. Okay, well, I open it up. What's in it, Dungeon Master?
Stuff.
Thievery stuff. I mean,
Even stuff.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't rob a bunch of people, or I don't rob any houses, so I don't know how to pick a lock. As that's just not what I
And you
do.
think I ended up here.
So I love the fact. So I as a dungeon master, I mean, I know I'm kind of talking on the ends of a dungeon master, not so much a player, but I think you guys kind of summed up some of the player features. Just having that, I guess, just going into more detail about what those are definitely helps me out. And that's really, some of the things that I picked out. I picked out a ton more, but you guys pretty much already covered some of the ones that I've already wanted to share. So I guess that's my fault for rolling the low initiative.
The tool section in there, you are right. And one of the great things about that is they toss ideas out that you may not necessarily think of. Like when you're looking at things like, you think of carpenter's tools and you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to build something. Well, you can also use them in here, find the weak point in a door, or pull apart a door, find a weak point in a wall so you can just break through it.
Yeah.
Things like that where it's like, oh, I never would have thought to try my tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like for instance, I love how here's the alchemist supplies. Like it tells you what is in the alchemist supplies, but then it says, okay, Arcana. So if you have proficiency with alchemist supplies, allows you to unlock more information on Arcana checks involving potions or similar items. Like that was never talked about in any of the other books.
Yeah, they just kind of brush over it. Like, okay, you got this. That's it. This is how much it weighs.
So now,
Don't know what's in it.
Yeah. So now, as a player and as a dungeon master, I know that if I'm proficient with alchemist tools, now I got a little bit of a benefit to my my checks when it comes to finding out what a potion is or does and things like that. It makes sense, and I like that.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the tools before were just flavor. I mean, thieves' tools have an actual I'm picking a lock, but it was like, okay, I can brew things. I guess that's cool if I want to make my signature beer, but it's...
How do I go about doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, to brew, it takes days, weeks.
Yeah.
You gotta wait. It's not just a thing.
Come back from the cave.
It's like
done.
Yeah,
Cool.
and brewer's supplies right here. Medicine. This tool proficiency grants additional insight when you treat someone suffering from alcohol poisoning. Or you can use alcohol to dull pain. I mean,
see, I never would have thought of that.
See, I wouldn't have thought of that in the
I
game in the heat of the moment.
Set up a distillery kit, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just making beer, man. That's what I want. And why would you want alchemy supplies other than brewing, minor healing potions and things like that, But now it gives you more incentive and more ideas that you can use those tools for, and how to actually use the rules in the game to guide you. So, well done, Xanathar's Guide.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get ready to transition to our second segment, which is going to be called.
Mega face on.
Yeah, it's time to get serious, boys. We're going into our natural ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go. Let's make sure. First of all, just want to thank all of our viewers tonight for tuning in, listening and watching us talk about stuff.
Yep.
So.
It's
hopefully it's entertaining for you guys. It's pretty entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Just having all four of us on a stream is just entertaining in general, because you never know what one of us is going to say.
That's true. Actually, like this, Matthew, I'm very concerned. Is that door in good shape? It looks a little.
You like Hulk smash in there or something? What? Door is
your closet door back there looks like it could use a little bit of a repair.
Yeah,
you hit it with a weight.
Actually, no. It's just one of those bifold doors. That's part of it's busted.
Hey, beyond my screen, I think I've got I've got a staple gun back here somewhere. We can. No,
Oh, that's
Behind the
crazy.
scenes look.
I'm just.
Clamps with me.
I just envision Matthew back there at the weight bench, like he's like lifting these weights, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden he just goes and just throws the thing, and it just knocks his closet door right off the
Yeah.
hinges.
And he
That's-
kisses his bicep.
Oh man! So our next segment, anyway, is going to be called
Wait, what are you talking about? People
Natural.
that play this game don't exercise. Come on.
That's- hey, I don't. So that's so. Next segment, anyway, is called Natural One. And now, in this segment, we're going to share maybe one or two things that maybe we feel like we didn't like with the book, or just didn't seem like it was up to par with what we're used to. But before I do that, I just want to thank a few more people. I want to go ahead and throw a shout out to Crimson_Loon for following. Thank you so much, Malevolent Minion. Thank you for following. Shock Beast has followed the channel. Shock Beast. We've got Jamie Cordry 33. Thank you so much for your follow.
An honest name.
An honest name. And and a familiar name. We've got Blitz Graybeard has resubscribed. Our very own Matthew is supporting. And also a big shout out to Mr. Carrot Rope, who has also subscribed to the
Well done,
channel.
Carrot Rope.
So yes.
AKA, what is Karkdit or something? Was it?
Carked, yeah.
And then we've got Stitch Up Lads, who's currently in the Twitch chat with us. Thank you so
That's
much
me.
for
Sorry.
following.
I thought I should let you know that's me.
That's Stitch Up Lads. You are Stitch Up Lads,
I've been hiding it for so long.
and you've done a really good job of it, JJ.
Getting catfished.
And lastly, I want to throw a big shout out to Stumpy, who hosts our channel on his channel. So thank you so much
He's
for.
not an amputee, by the way. His name's just Stumpy.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like 3 limbs or whatever.
All right, everybody, get your D20s ready. Let's roll initiative for segment 2 as we go into Nat ones. Let's see how we're
Hoping for
doing.
a Nat 1 on this.
What the?
Oh boy.
Got a 6.
Oh lord, you got 16.
MG is rolling a 6. All right, so
We need
we're
the lucky feet here.
Yikes, get that dish of shame out. That dice is not treating you well.
Yeah.
all right, Matthew. What did you roll?
I got an 8.
An 8.
I'm going first.
And
With a 16.
what'd you get? A 16, and I got a 15. So
Wow.
Oh.
Big shots
so
over here. High roller.
so JJ, go ahead, and you got about 5 minutes. Go ahead and share your Nat ones.
Oh my lord. So the biggest
comes.
problem get prepared.
Everybody
guys.
get
It's,
ready.
It's gonna be bad. So the biggest, most major problem I find in this book is that there is way too many tables for things. Like an insane amount of tables. Like seriously, there's taken up like pages and pages of like continuous tables, and you know, who the hell wants to read tables? Tables are boring as heck. Like really. I mean, I should have swore there to get my emotions across, but I didn't want to. But like, I think it's incredibly, incredibly lazy just to have like. I get tables can be used as a great tool. I know for people who don't have a lot of time, and like you know, they can help you out with stuff if like you know you can't come up with your own ideas and you just want to be original and bland. Whatever, that's cool. But I mean, just the amount of tables and like. Especially for the money value that the amount of money you're paying for this book, and for them to just kind of like cheap out and just put like a whole bunch of tables in here, it kind of feels like I've been robbed like $20 or something. Like the amount of things in here, like that they could have put like new and interesting things. which I'm going to get on to my next point. But like, they have taken up so much space with these tables, and I am absolutely livid with it because I don't think it really I don't think it adds that much to the book whatsoever. I mean, rather than you can write it down, just write it down. No need to put tables all over the bloody place. That's my big gripe with it. I feel like as someone who goes out and I'm interested in this hobby, obviously, because I go out and I buy every single book. I feel like for money value, what you're paying for this book is just not worth it with all the tables they've put in here. I actually feel like I have been robbed a little bit. So that's my biggest gripe with it. Secondly, if you got rid of all these tables, and don't get me wrong, I understand this is a process, you need to meticulously play test and play test and play test and make sure things are balanced, make sure things are, in working order, so no one's got an crazy unfair advantage or nothing's broken. Just keep it all on a level playing field. But you get rid of those tables. Where's those 2 classes that they threw out anyway? Where's the artificer? Where's the mystic? Really, you had so much space and so much potential in this new book. You're releasing a book with all this unearthed arcana stuff, and you haven't put these 2 new classes in which everyone was interested in playing. It adds a whole new dynamic to the game, and I feel like we, as players, how long has 5e been out for? It's been out for a little bit. I feel like there should be another supplement where you can add these new classes in. And I think, I really think it would have been a great time to add this in this book. Mm-hmm. I really, really do. And I feel when I found out the contents of this book, I was a little disheartened. I was like, oh, maybe I won't get it, because I was really looking forward to seeing that alchemist subclass and the what is it, the gunslinger or the gunsmith or something like that, mm-hmm. in this book, and the mystic. They're all fantastically thought out classes and things that are not represented in 5e at the moment, and this book would have been the perfect chance to do it. But unfortunately, they just kind of neglected that, and it's not in there. So those are my gripes: tables and lack of other things.
Do you think, JJ, that maybe I know in 4th edition they had 3 different players' handbooks that included nothing but races and classes and things like that. I mean, do you think something like that would have been more beneficial than releasing kind of a big old kind of variety guide like this? Or, what are your thoughts on that?
I think they've overall the book is done very well. They've done a lot of good things with it, but just the amount of stuff that doesn't really matter that they've put into this book, it kind of it drives me up a wall a little bit. They've got all this stuff out there that's available for playtesting and is being worked on and everything, and that they could have put in there, but they've just kind of thrown it on the back burner. They've neglected it, and instead, to fill their pages to make the book seem more heftier than it is, it's a pretty small book considering. It's not that big. How many total pages are there? Just 150 or so. It's not a massive book.
The PHB, right? It's
yeah, it's tiny, and you're paying just think you're paying the same amount, if not more, for this book, and it's just giving you some slightly more slightly different options. It's not even releasing anything that's super new, it's super out there. So I don't know. Maybe I would feel better if they released a second kind of PHB. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would reflect better on the player, and even separate it and put those dungeon master tools in a separate dungeon master guide, a little supplement to what you already got out there.
Yeah.
But I think jamming it in like this and condensing it and throwing all these tables in there has kind of it's lessened the product as a whole.
Yeah. I can see that. Cool.
That's a hard one to go with, though. I remember back in the day with people having to buy 3 different players' handbooks and 4 different versions of the Dungeon Master's Guide, because every time they reprinted it, it was a different version with new and different data in it.
Yeah.
I don't nothing overboard like that. They've done fabulously with 5e as a whole. The whole system is streamlined. It works tried and true. It's a great system. But just I don't know. I just feel I feel robbed. I just feel a little bit robbed. spending this amount of money for the book, and there's nothing that really kind of like just is like amazingly like sticks out to me.
Cool.
Especially like with all like, oh, man, I hate looking at tables. Like I'm doing that at work and stuff. Or, like,
Just
I
sit there
feel
like
I'm
growling
on
at
the
the
computer,
book.
like looking at spreadsheets. It's like it's yeah. Like I play this game to get away from real life. I don't need looking at tables all day.
Yeah, gotcha. I think to chime in on my turn for this round, it kind of just back up a little bit of what you said about when I went to the gaming store and I picked this book up. I was just like, I saw it and I picked it up and I held it like this, and I was just like, I just thought there would be more.
Where's the rest of it?
It's like,
Hang on.
is
Supposed to be everything.
I was like, is this it? And I was like, so that was one of my thought. Like my initial thought was, I thought it'd be like at least twice the size. And now I know that quantity doesn't end up being quality, but I thought it would be more, especially for the price. If you bought the special edition book, you paid a little bit more money for it as well. Especially if you buy it at a gaming store, because gaming stores, they have to jack the price up a little bit because they have to
pay
make
the rent, right?
As well.
They got to keep in business. So,
Yeah.
but that was kind of like the first thing. And another thing, we were talking about this before we went live, but sometimes the wording in the text can be. I just feel like some places they messed up, or I feel like sometimes it gets so confusing. It may be a little bit too over the top for somebody, maybe if it's not familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. So I worry that this book may not be something that a new player might need to have right away. Because some of these classes and things in here, some of the things just get a little bit complex to me. And the one thing is that my specific issue was when Arcane Archer for the fighter, the archetype for the fighter, when it was in the Unearthed Arcana, it was appealing to me. I wanted to play it, so we actually used that character to play that in one of our campaigns. But now they've got Arcane Shot is something that you get at 3rd level of this fighter, and the wording is just confusing because it says once per turn you fire a magic arrow from a short bow or long arrow. When you fire a magic arrow, well, you don't get the magic arrow feature until you get to 7th level. So it almost just the wording is messed up somehow. And as a dungeon master and somebody who relies on that wording to know what the rules are, to me it's really confusing and it messed me up.
especially with a class mechanic like that. Like it's okay like if the wording's a bit like got a misconstrued on like spells or other rules, like you can kind of work around that. But as a class mechanic, like something that you're essentially picking this subclass or this class like because like wow, that sounds cool, like wow, I could do like some cool stuff with this, or like I don't know, even those min maxers or power gamers out there that like I want that ability because then I can do this and this and this. Not that I condone that because I not about that life. But, but yeah, I feel like they need to kind of like they need to nail it down. Like it should have been, the word magic as a whole is an open, broad term, and I get where like some people can get confused with the whole like arcane magic, and then it's especially for newbies. Yeah, this is
when I fire a magic arrow, well, I don't have the ability to make my arrows magic yet.
Yeah.
Or I have to.
Magic arrows
I don't have any.
stock. I haven't found any yet.
So I can't use my arcane shot ability.
So I'm stuck until 7th level.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be an archer for a while. Let's see if I can pick this off and gain some experience. But I love how you mentioned the min maxers. I really don't think 100% that a min maxer is gonna like this book.
Oh no way.
because it's not so much about rules and mechanics and making your character, do as much damage as it possibly can, or it's more about the RP element. So min-maxers are probably not going to really like the book. But anyway, that's all I've got. And we're going to turn it on over to initiative count 8 with Matthew.
You stole a little of my thunder with the specifically that arcane shot in magic, because one of the things I had. Am I muted?
No.
No, we got you.
I get confused because I keep glancing over to check the Twitch chat, and my Twitch is like 15, 20 seconds behind me. So as I'm starting to say something, I can see Michael still talking. It's like, oh, wait a minute. But beyond just looking at that one little spot, which was just like, basically, as you and JJ and everyone were saying, it's a class mechanic. You really have to make sure not to screw that up. The other one that really didn't do much for me were the racial feats. It's like a lot of the feats that they've been working with through the UA, you're dealing with things that are like weapon specific and are things that'll work really well with specific builds or specific characters, whereas the different racial feats they came out with didn't really seem like they didn't change anything really. A lot of what you could do with the racial feats you could get elsewhere.
Gotcha.
Like the gnomes have one fade away. It's a bump to your dex or your intelligence, and if you get injured, you can use your reaction to become invisible till your next turn. And it's like, you can get similar ideas from that. Some of them were better than others, but it's like, looking at them, a lot of them, it's like I wouldn't take one of the few feats I get to use that. I'd be looking for something, either Warcaster or something that's going to benefit the build more than that one thing. Because coming at it from Molfin's standpoint, if I'm taking damage as the wizard, I mean, granted, I'm one of the tankiest people on Friday nights, but I'm the wizard, so my party has screwed up somehow.
Point rolls.
But it's just I'm not going to burn my either my +2 to my stats or another feat. The only reason I could see taking a feat like this is if you were doing something like the Variant Human and being able to take a feat right at level 1, then all of a sudden it becomes potentially a benefit because now you're getting that extra bonus. But
did humans get any of these even? Oh yeah, like
humans have one, but even that, it's just you gain 1 proficiency and you gain 1 expertise, which isn't bad, but there are still better feats out there.
Just kind of stemming from that a little bit. Very broadly finding connections here, but the Warlock Eldritch invocations, I mean, in the PHB, they've got a lot of these invocations that are reliant on the archetype. So you can pick this if you're this archetype. You can pick this if you're this level in this archetype. The invocations that they added here, there is no options for the specific archetypes that are introduced for the Warlock in this book. So there's no options, like there's no prerequisite for, say, the Hexblade. There's no prerequisite for the Celestial or anything like that. So, but they're like, it feels like they're not catering to the new archetypes they released. They're just putting out more invocations because, well, I mean, what the heck? Why not? I feel like that's just a very loose connection that I made because I was skimming through it very quickly. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, like relating to the feats, like they don't really essentially add much like to what's already available and what's already out there in the PHB.
Right, and even if you go and you look at some of the things from UA that's out there, like I don't know if they've officially released any of the weapons ones yet for things like glaive feats or anything like that that gives you a +1 to your attack and your damage and stuff like that. But these just like you said, these sort of underwhelmed me with these. Just going, oh wow, I'm a rock gnome, so apparently when somebody punches me, I can vanish. That doesn't even make sense. Never mind anything else.
Yeah, what if you're playing a rock gnome barbarian? I mean, why the hell would they vanish?
Right.
I
And it's like, but if you're playing a forest gnomes already have something to that effect where they can use like a reaction to cast, I think it's minor illusion or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
gain access to the minor illusion cantrip.
Yeah. Yep. I can see your point there, Matthew. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move up to MG at initiative count 6 to bring up the end of the round here of natural ones. What do you got for us?
only one complaint. I wish they had more of an index in the back. If I want to find things, I have to like page through. Fortunately, it's not a huge book, but still, it's nice to be able to like, oh, I want to find this class. Okay, page 120. Or I want to find this, this topic, page 240. I missed that.
Yeah, you're right. There's no index at all.
Yeah.
it's a table of names and then a black page at the end of the book.
And I think, again, when you use the book enough, like you get a sense of like, oh, like still, it's one of those little usability things that I missed from the other books.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, as a book in general, that would definitely... Yeah, I think all the other books have one in the back to help reference. Huh.
If they got rid of a table, they probably would have had one.
Oh, burn. Leave it to JJ.
JJ, would you like some popcorn to put that salt on?
That's a fun.
I've got some nuts here, so
Awesome. Well, those are some of our natural ones for a Xanathar's Guide to Everything. We are going to just transition to our third segment, which is called... I got to
throw.
No, for some reason I don't. It's the surprise round. I didn't have it on my list. And this round is going to be just a short. We're going to keep it really brief for this one. It's something that may have surprised you about the book, or something that you're going to implement right away from the book that just jumps out so much at you that you want to include that either within one of your characters or within your campaigns. But before we go to that, I want to throw a couple other shout outs. Actually, I've run through my whole first page of my shout outs for tonight. So I just want to do a quick advertisement. This Friday, we are going to be streaming live episode 14 of Storm King's Thunder. Yes, I know it's a vacation for a lot of us, but we are still going to be live on Friday night, and it's going to be a very special episode because we are celebrating eclipsing 100 followers on Twitch, which has been a goal for us since we started late summer, early fall. So we are still climbing. Our new goal is to get to 200. My follower goal, for some reason, my bar doesn't want to update. I've sent a technical email to Streamlabs to see what the problem is. So we're going to get that. We are actually currently up to 105. So if you haven't yet followed us, make sure you hit that follow button above. If you want to support the channel financially, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. We love our subscribers. Sometimes our subscribers get an excellent opportunity to jump in a one-shot campaign with some of our cast members here on Proficiency Bonus. So make sure you jump on and check us out. So this Friday at 8 Eastern Time, we will have episode 14. And to celebrate eclipsing 100 followers, we are going to be doing a huge giveaway. We are going to be giving away a hardcover copy of the Monster Manual. a hardcover copy of any module of your choice. And Matthew's displaying them for us. And we are also going to throw in a set of dice for the lucky winner, just to celebrate you for following us and for supporting the channel. Everybody's. Is that a fish bowl full of dice?
Basically, yeah.
That is awesome. And we're also we got something in the works for December 22nd. We are going to give away a copy of Xanathar's Guide during Storm King's Thunder. So we are going to throw that out there as well. Those will be some of our that's our November giveaway and our December giveaway. So
let's not speak too soon. They may not want it after the
yeah. JJ ripped it apart. No one wants the copy. So, but yeah, it take this is just four dudes sharing their opinions. Take it as it is. We are not professional Dungeons and Dragons people, but we play or stream at least once a week Dungeons and Dragons, so we've been through the books a lot. A lot of us eat and sleep and breathe and meditate on Dungeons and Dragons. So
a lot of us do this when we should be working.
Yes, I agree. So right now we're going to transition over to our surprise round. So everybody get your D20s ready, and it's time to roll initiative. Let's see how we do.
Come on, give me a high number this time. Come on.
Oh boy.
11.
Ooh, that's bad.
I have tied with MG.
What'd you get?
11.
11. What'd you get, JJ?
Got a 3.
A 3. I rolled a 7. So we're going to have Matthew and MG go ahead and roll again.
All right, mano a mano.
It's a roll off. It's a roll off.
It's a roll off.
No!
You can't be worse than me.
You can't be worse than me.
Uh-oh.
2.
Oh, 2 and a 1. Oh, so Matthews goes to a 2. And MG goes to a 1. Oh my goodness.
Send that dish
Always
shame
the
to
bridesmaid,
MG.
never
Yeah.
the bride.
Do you guys need this dish? I can send it over to you.
Yeah.
And you guys, Dish of Shame from Nightshade Creations. Just toss that one down the hallway there, MG. Behind you, just over your shoulder. There you go. So I guess I get to kick off the surprise round with a number 7. I guess I kind of shared some of my surprises with just my first instinct was I was just surprised at how small the book was. But I guess another thing that surprised me is it's really kind of pushed me a little bit beyond myself, because like I was talking to you guys a little bit before about how I'd never really had any inclination to play a barbarian before. And when I read these the new barbarian subclasses in here, it really kind of was like, wow, that is really cool. I want to try that. And I played a barbarian, Path of the Ancestral Guardians, on our one shot, and I just love the mechanic, and I love how you can flavor it and add all that role play and storytelling to it. Now, mechanically wise, it didn't really do me any good. Because we didn't really end up in a situation where it would benefit any of us. I guess it's just we just might be just terrible players. I don't know.
It's a situational kind of thing. A lot of the archetypes are very situational.
It is, and I think for some of these to work, I think it may be you really need to, for one, like understand what kind of campaign or one shot that you're in. And for 2, understand the basically the party makeup. I know a lot of people give that a lot of flack. They just play who you want to play. But if that particular class of the Ancestral Guardians, if you don't have a lot of people like engaged in melee combat together as a group, it doesn't really benefit your party that much because you need to be kind of like in their rage aura for it to like help you. So I think that's one thing. But the surprise to me was how it has really like drawn me to these characters that I normally wouldn't want to play or have any desire to play. It's that storytelling RP element has just like kind of inspired me and brought me into that. So that was my surprise. JJ with the big 3, you're actually second in this turn. As none of us rolled above a 10.
Monstrous and empty.
Just don't die. That's the rule. I'm kind of in the same vein as you with my surprise. So, I mean, 2 classes that kind of like stand out to me in this book is definitely the new additions to the Ranger and the Rogue. Now, normally, I tend to stay away from these type of classes. Like I've tried them, but I don't necessarily enjoy them. I feel they fall into like, you know, specific tropes. They're like the very stereotypical characters. A lot of people play them the same way. And I feel the additions in Xanathars has really opened up these 2 classes as, you know, something more than what they're perceived as. And it's like it's made me want to, you know, oh wow, I really want to play that Ranger archetype. Oh wow, rogues are like, they're exciting to me now. Like, you know, I don't just want to walk around and be in like that edgy assassin dude. Like, you know, I can have fun with this, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have to like wear a hood all the time and, you know, Assassin's Creed stuff. But like, no, I feel like the additions I've made in this book for the Ranger and the Rogue have really opened these 2 classes up. They're exciting, they're enticing, and they're actually the biggest surprises in this book. You read them and you're like, oh wow, like they've done some like pretty cool stuff with this. Like this is really good.
Yeah, it's
so
like,
I feel like they put a lot of effort into that.
When you play a Ranger, you don't have to be Legolas from Lord of the Rings all the time.
I mean, it's cool if you want to do that. Like, it's cool if you want to play a character that way. Like, there's no judgment. But, you know, stereotypically, like, these classes, they always fall into the same kind of routine.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And this just really opens it up.
Cool. All right, Matthew with the big 2.
So, couple of different things. One of the things just in passing that I found hysterical is just right on, I want to say it's either the first or second page because I got my copy PDF because my game store was out. There's a little disclaimer specifically just saying that no goldfish were harmed in the making of this book, talking all about Xanathar's prized goldfish, Silgar. That surprised me that they put something like that in there. It made me laugh like hell. But from a mechanical standpoint, I was surprised at the bump up that necromancy got in this book. Out of all the other editions, the different modules, the books that they've come out with, Player's Handbook, Dungeon Masters, necromancy's always been sort of a underwhelming spell class. And they've brought a lot of that up and added new options into it, which is something I'm definitely considering adding into Molfin's repertoire.
Wow.
One of them, most notably, life transference gives the wizard the ability to heal.
Ooh.
Yeah, the spells in this book are absolutely like they've really bumped it up. Like these spells are really fantastic, not just from a mechanics standpoint, but also from an RP standpoint. Like
right, the world building opportunities you have, just the spells in general. It was like every time they've come out with any other spells, it's always been, oh well, okay, that's another one of these spells. Just, you know, instead of being fire, it's ice or whatever.
Yep.
Now these are all seem to have more options behind it and different ways you can do it and build the world and affect other things with it.
Awesome.
I agree.
Awesome.
The spells are really good.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you talk about the necromancer, I'm a part of several like just Facebook groups that just they throw out this idea of how cool a necromancer is to play, but yet, like you said, it's always had like this underwhelming just aspect of like the spells and just a limited number of things that you could do as a necromancer. So to see that they've added that. I guess their response, that's maybe a response to the community who's looking to play a necromancer and need some more options. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Matthew. And now we'll go to MG, who rolled his 1.
Wah, wah. Yeah, I think Matt, you kind of like teed it up a little bit. That what really jumps out at me is that like they added all these like healer versions of classes, and this notion that you could be like a warlock healer or like a sorcerer healer. It's kind of cool. It's different.
Mm.
So I think that in general, the thing that really stood out to me more than any of the others is I really want to be a drunken master. I think that there's so much flavor there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the drunken master. Way of the drunken master. That's awesome. Cool. Well, awesome. We're going to go ahead and get ready to transition into our last segment for the evening. And after this, what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to some viewer questions. So if you are tuning in live with us tonight and you've just something that's been sitting with you and you want to ask us a question on the Twitch chat, go ahead and type it in there and start sending it our way while we're focusing on this last segment. And in the last segment, what we're going to do is instead of rolling initiative, I'm just going to reverse the initiative count. I'm going to have MG start us off. And where the initiative trackers are, what we're going to do is we're going to give this book a score. And basically, I'm gonna type in the score where your initiative counter is on the screen. So we're going to call this the saving throw. So basically, we just want to know a score and why you would give that book a score. And is it something that our viewers need to run out and buy right away? Or is it something they need to maybe wait a little bit on? Or I don't know. It's totally up to you guys. So we're just going to reverse. We're going to go MG, then Matthew, then JJ, and I'll close us out.
Oh.
So MG.
All right. I guess, but before I launch it, someone was pounding on my door, and that's why I was like so distracted. I was like, "What's going on? Am I getting like swatted or something?" It's all good. Everything's okay.
You're safe.
JJ swatted you.
JJ, not again. No, I think you know what? I on a scale of 1 to 20, right?
Yeah, 1 to 20.
I'm gonna give it a 17.
17. All right.
And I think the reason behind the 17, I like the idea of like if you're gonna make a character, just use 2 books. Use like the player's handbook and something else. You know, I think the more books you pull in, the more you could build a broken character, which is some people like that. You know, that's what some people go for. But I think I like the idea of simplicity. And you know, this book, it throws in. You have a lot of different like archetypes in the classes. You have a lot of different spells. There's a lot you could do with just this and the player's handbook to make a really interesting character. And I think that's big.
Gotcha. All right.
Digitio posed a question to us, if you just want to go over that quickly. He said, would you consider this book necessary to start playing 5e, or at least recommended?
No.
Necessary, no. You can start
all you need is the
without it.
PHB. You don't even need the PHB. All you need is like a DM that has the PHB, I think.
Yeah.
Realistically,
you still buy all the books, but
It's not. I don't think it's
all you need is dice and a table.
Yeah.
I mean, anything else you can work with. I mean, the game's designed like everyone at Wizard says. If you listen to Mike Merles, Chris Perkins, Jeremy, and I'm going to miss his last name. I can't remember it. If you listen to any of them, they all say the rules are in the hand of the DM now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can run things like that with minimal things.
That was an awesome sound
what
effect.
Was that?
I love it.
That was me getting the text.
Did you? That's an interesting question because like I'm gonna get some people that I know in person that haven't played D&D before, and one of the things I'm wondering is like, should I even bring up Xanathars? You know, I'm wondering, do I want them to just make characters out of Player's Handbook initially, just to kind of get that, and then after they've played a little bit, then be like, hey, by the way, there are all these different books, you can do all this like crazy stuff. It's kind of an interesting question.
as a little bit of an add-on to that, I am actually starting up my own campaign just at home with a bunch of friends, and I actually, because I got the I'm signed up to D Beyond. I couldn't wait for Xanathar, so I went and bought it on Beyond when the special edition of the book came out. And I actually suggested, like, like wouldn't it be cool if you use some of these archetypes from like this book? Like, it just offers like a whole new range. And I offered it to every single one of them. They looked through it and they're like, "Nah, I'd rather just stick like to the player's handbook. Like, I prefer the things that are in there." So for new players coming into that, I think it's easy just to stick with the PHB. And they didn't seem like, not knowing the mechanics or not knowing anything in this book, I don't know if they thought like it was perhaps underwhelming or perhaps just too much information to process, but it didn't seem necessary in a sense. They'd rather stick to the PHB. They enjoyed the archetypes in that a lot more, and they just felt it played to the tropes of those classes better.
I guess my only fear with that is I agree with you guys about new players. I don't want to throw too much at them, but then the same token is if they really get into it and they really start just grasping the role playing and just love playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then they find out about Xanathar's guide, and they're like, why didn't you tell me about this before? It's like, I guess that would be my only fear.
It's very much a role playing, like it very much like views these classes in a role playing sense, less so like than a mechanics sense. Like, these classes are meant for role players. Like, these archetypes are meant for role players. Like, if you're a role player, it provides like fantastic opportunities for you in this book. But if you're someone who's new and you just want to make a standard character and be like, okay, I just want to deal damage because I don't know how to play this game really, and then I'll just roll with it from there. The PHB is your thing. That's all you need.
And I think, JJ, that just hit the nail on the head. It's know your player.
Yep.
If your player is somebody who is interested in D&D because of the role play aspect, then yeah, all of a sudden Xanathar's and the different options it gives that are based more on the role play side may be almost a requirement to at least show the player. Yeah, okay, these are a little more advanced mechanically speaking, but again, where you're saying you're interested, this is why you're coming to the table. I have to let you know about this because this is a whole different world for you to consider.
Yeah, those are all good. Cool. Digitio, I hope we helped a little bit answer your question. We'll go to Matthew. Matthew, what do you give the book and why?
I actually ranked it a little higher than MG did. I put it up at a 19.
A 19. All
because
right.
It's coming into it from both sides, from the DM side and the player side. There's just too much in it as I go through, and I apologize, ran out of juice. As some of you may know, well, I think everybody in this chat knows that I'm in the process of designing my own campaign from the ground up. And just the different DM tools that aren't addressed anywhere else. The new spells that are in there that give the players more of an ability to impact the world itself rather than just the campaign. There's just too much in it for me to not consider it to be a necessary part of that world I'm building. And specifically in Friday night's games, as I mentioned, a lot of these spells I'm now considering for Molfen and how they'll fit in with the design I've had for this character as he's moving forward.
Right. Cool. So we got MG coming in with a 17, Matthew coming in with a 19. That brings us over to JJ, and I'm anxious.
I'm dying to know.
He's
like 21.
25. Pure and simple. First of all, I'd just like to note, like this book, it really is. It's a fantastic addition to 5e as a whole. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's gone into this, and they have really, like, the guys at Wizards have really thought about this, and there's some fantastic content. Like, we went over like the spells and the world building, and how these different traps and everything can be used, and just like the whole role play aspect that's gone in behind it. it's absolutely like amazing. So credit, I'm giving credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
But now speaking from a more of a customer standpoint, or like a supporter of D&D, I'm a guy that likes to go out and I like to get every book. I really do. And I can honestly say that this book I was the most excited about when I heard about its release. I had like really high hopes for it, really, really high hopes. I was so keen for this to come out, and upon getting it, I feel like I've kind of been let down. Just the size of the book to begin with. Like they've included a lot of stuff in this, but I feel like they could have done a bit more. And to have something like this, a supplement like this, and just with a lot less content and still price it the same way, like thinking of like from a consumer standpoint, I feel like, as I mentioned before, I've been robbed a little bit. Not everyone has expendable funds. We can't be going out and buying like all this new stuff. So when I feel like when I want something, I want it to contain a lot. So I'm not going out and having to spend all this extra money on new things. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 13 out of 20.
A 13 out of 20.
It's a whole lot higher than I thought he was going to go.
I was
'Cause,
I was thinking he was
it's
going to
got
throw
table.
the 10 down, or something like that. Just
The 10.
just
Yeah,
good enough
I
to
mean-
make a successful death save.
No, don't get me wrong. This book is it's fantastic. They've done some great stuff with it, but for what it's worth, I think they've overpriced it. Look, I'm not happy with the amount of tables because I'm going through it now, and there's a whole chapter pretty much dedicated to tables. Like I know for certain I'm not going to go through and read that. Like I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap about that. To be honest. Like I'm just brushing over it now.
I
Doesn't
read
interest
every
me at all,
table.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's not my thing. So 13 out of 20.
Valid points. I went ahead and I gave mine also. I gave mine the same score as MG did. I gave it a 17 out of 20. And my biggest reason, what? No, it's up to 17. I changed it. Matthew, when it comes to a dungeon master, I think this book is incredible. Just because I am always looking for ways to make making what I do better. Anything that I can use, any materials that give me inspiration and information. I love that. And to me, this book provides that with all those dungeon master, that dungeon master section in there to me is incredible. I know JJ hates tables. I don't hate them that much because they help me, especially because I'm just so busy and I just don't have the time that I used to be able to just go through and just create everything from scratch. So the tables help me to get inspiration and things like that. Doesn't make either one of us wrong on either way, but to me,
I mean, two of us said 17. It is the mode.
I think we should create a median for this. Find the average.
That's it. The reason I downgraded a little bit is because Dungeons and Dragons has been producing books for quite some time. The stuff that happens with these mess ups and within the character archetypes and messing up wordings and things like that, by now, to me, they should have that figured out. Especially if you got all these unearthed arcana that you've been playtesting for months and months and months. We should be able to, if you're going to produce that book into a text that's out there to consumers, it should be top notch. And that's just my opinion because I'm just OCD like that. I want things to be perfect. I want things to be top notch. So that's when MG and I were just struggling over the video quality of our stream and hassling with it. That kind of stuff makes me rip my hair out. But you just want the product to be good. You want it to be better than good. You want it to be great. I mean, it's just to me, there's just no excuse for those little mess ups, and not having an index. I didn't even know that until MG pointed it out tonight, because I didn't even get to the very back of the book. And when
I couldn't. So many tables. Like,
I just gave up.
there you go. Yeah.
JJ's still reading through the tables. Okay, if I roll a 1 or a 2, that happens. it's a DC 15 strength check.
It's too much.
So, but I did give it a 17 because I do think it is a great supplement. The minor miscues, I can overlook them. But if I had somebody coming to the table and they wanted to play an arcane archer, I would make some adjustments. Just because the wording is messed up, and I don't believe it's correct in the book. And there's a couple other parts that I saw, but I didn't put flags on them, so I can't find them again. But other things like wording wise that I thought, oh man, that to me that just sounds wrong or messed up. I would probably do some tweaking for any players that wanted to, play one of these archetypes or subclasses in here. So, but those are our scores that we've got up there on the screen right now. MG and Michael both with 17s, and down at the bottom we got Matthew with the highest score of the night with the 19, and JJ coming in at the 13.
Good. We got representation.
So if our viewers, I know Digitio had a question to chime in. Is anybody else who is viewing online right now? Do you guys have any questions or anything else that you want to throw at us? We are still currently live in Twitch, so you can jump in there in the chat. And I'm sorry, my face is kind of glowing white right now. I've got my Twitch chat
Cast
open.
the light spell on it.
Yeah, I was casting some spells. But if anybody has any questions, go ahead and chime in with those. I want to remind you guys, this Friday night, huge 100-follower celebration for Storm King's Thunder, episode 14. During the break, we're going to be giving away that Monster Manual hard copy module, and there they are again. Matthew, you had those in the ready, man.
Wow,
that was sweet. Yeah, he had them cute.
Yeah.
They were just sitting there in front of him. He was just holding them up. And on December 22nd, during Storm King's Thunder, we're going to give away a copy of Xander's Guide to Everything, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, live that night. So that way we can, get one of these copies into your hands, so you can, have an opinion for yourself and give it your own score.
Yeah, tell us your score.
Yeah, share us your score. What I'm going to try to do is I would love to do a persuasion check live every month, as something that we can all do, where we get on and we just do some chatting about whether it be D&D related materials or merchandise or products. I'm thinking that what we may do is we may revisit Xanathar's Guide in December. Maybe, I don't know, possibly the week before we give it away, to just maybe go through some other things that maybe when we have another month to kind of read and lull through some more of the text, we can bring it to the table and share it again. And
you just lost JJ. You said the T word.
yeah.
Yeah, my eyes kind of glazed over.
It's like, oh, I don't know if I can handle any more of these tables, right? just kind of flag those pages and skip over them, JJ.
It's like off the book.
So
No, I'm exaggerating. It's a good book.
So we're gonna try to do a persuasion check live every month. Sometimes it'll be a little bit different. This is more like a book review. Sometimes we might do different things. We may even do episodes where we have different cast members come on from the different shows that we've got on Proficiency Bonuses to share about what's going on in their campaigns and what's going on between their characters, and get like kind of like a behind the scenes, like how they have Talks Makana for Critical Role and things like that, where they bring on different cast members and they kind of talk about the campaign and things. I think that would be kind of a neat aspect to do. I don't know if I should host it as the DM though, because it may like give me too much insight on
Yeah.
What's
I mean,
going
We
on?
need like a
Keep a level
neutral
playing
third
field.
party or
Yeah, we
something.
might need a neutral host for that because I don't know. That might get
Get carrot rope in
get
here.
get the gears running. Get the gears running in my brain on how I can thwart all your plans that you're coming up with. So, but do we have any more questions online? It doesn't look like we
No,
do.
it does not appear to be.
Awesome.
Just
Well,
tossed out the lost artifacts again.
oh yeah, awesome.
Links
Yeah.
below.
Yeah, check out Lost Artifacts. You get a discount just for being a viewer, follower, subscriber here to the channel of Proficiency Bonus. A huge shout out to Many Sided Dice for offering that to us and partnering up with us. Also, check out nightshadecreations.com. They've got some awesome dice trays and dice towers and things like that for your home games. I don't get to use them too much because I'm always on roll 20. So tonight I actually got to roll some real dice for our initiative rolls. I was excited. It's just so much different. It just feels good, you know, to have that in your
it's a great
hand
feeling.
and just to roll it. I make my own custom dice trays.
Whoa!
So you can go and you can buy these like wooden things at like Michael's for like $5. They're just made out of wood.
Yeah.
And then I just I spray paint them with like it's like a rock kind of paint.
That's cool.
And then I glue down a piece of felt in the inside. And you can make your own dice tray. And it's really cheap.
Very crafty.
And I use these dice trays because I play Dungeons and Dragons with my children, who are 6 and 9, and they can never, for the life of me, keep a die on the table. So I built everyone in our family, including my wife. We have our own dice rolling trays. So that is that's what I do in my spare time. See, we're busy D&D people. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. So glad that you guys were able to make it here tonight for our first Persuasion Check Live. I want to thank a big, huge thank you to MG for being here tonight with us to offer his opinions on Xanathar's Guide. Matthew, who has he's my dungeon master. I mean, if I'm gonna play in a D&D game, I want to be sitting at that man's table. So make sure you tune in to Tomb of Annihilation on Monday nights and check out as he as he leads the interesting group of adventurers through the jungles of Chult. In Tomb of Annihilation. It's a great show. And also big thank you to JJ, who is a multiple cast member and soon to be Dungeon Master here very soon on the Proficiency Bonus channel. So we're excited about that coming up soon. So, and I am Michael, your humble DM and host for tonight. So thank you guys for tuning in. We are so appreciative. If you haven't hit the follow button yet, make sure you follow. If you want to subscribe and support us, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can catch all of our past episodes and just everything on our YouTube channel. So if you need to catch up on some episodes and get caught up so you can watch us live, go ahead and do that. Anybody have anything to share before we go offline for the night?
Don't forget to show up on Friday to try your hand at the raffle.
Oh,
Yeah.
True.
Friday's gonna be
One of those
good.
Books. That's gonna be crazy.
Friday's gonna be good, and we're
JJ jumped off the floating.
I'll do something.
Yeah, we got a lot of exciting things coming up on Friday, so I'm super excited about that. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in once again, and just thank you so much. We got a great community of followers and subscribers. Give a huge shout out to all of you, and we will all see you next time as we will hopefully see you on Friday for Storm King's Thunder. Have a good night, everybody.